Professor Cyril Karabus describes his ordeal in the UAE as a harrowing rollercoaster of ups and downs. And Pravin Gordhan says government is taking the Gupta family scandal very seriously. I'm Richard Brooks. South African paediatric oncologist Professor Cyril Karabus has described his ordeal in the UAE as a harrowing rollercoaster of ups and downs. However, the 78-year-old says he's grateful that he's finally been reunited with his family. Karabus returned to South Africa yesterday after being held in Abu Dhabi for the past 9 months. He was fighting a manslaughter charge in connection with the death of a young cancer patient he treated more than a decade ago. Karabus was found not guilty on 2 separate occasions, but he struggled to leave the UAE for weeks because of various delays. He's reflected on his time in the UAE.
It was dreadful, the ups and downs when you thought things were going well, and then a day or two later suddenly something happened and they were going down again. So it was really very upsetting. Thank you very much for your support. Really appreciate it. And it's nice to be home.
Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan says government is taking the Gupta family scandal very seriously. The story broke more than 2 weeks ago when the family's privately chartered plane landed at the Waterkloof Air Force Base in Pretoria with about 200 wedding guests on board. A media briefing is expected to be called early next week to release government's findings into its probe into the alleged unauthorized landing of the Gupta family's private jet. Government has committed to making the findings public. So far, 5 officials in the International Relations, Police and Defence Departments and 11 Tshwane Metro police officers have been suspended for their alleged role in the saga. Gordhan explains.
We're quite frank that this is an incident that should not have occurred. Those who are responsible must have their heads rolling, and improper relationships between anybody in society and anybody in government is something that we don't want to encourage at all.
Mine Workers Union AMCU says it's meeting with its shop stewards in Pretoria this weekend to give them feedback regarding negotiations between the union and mining company Amplats. Amplats announced this week that it intends to shed 6,000 jobs. This was not received well by AMCU, which earlier threatened labour action should Amplats go ahead with the retrenchments. And Facebook is celebrating its first anniversary as a public company with shares listed on the New York Stock Exchange. 1 in 10 of the world's population use the social network site every day to stay in contact with friends, family, and colleagues. But questions remain about Facebook's ability to convert this popularity into profits. Analyst Benedict Evans.
There are lots of people playing with different pieces of the social experience in different apps, and a lot of those are getting tens and hundreds of millions of users. Facebook is trying very hard as well and experimenting very hard, but it's not clear that they've won yet.